Rebels will always want to talk because they want to give their side of the story, they want to do propaganda and so on.
Yeah.
We had a pit latrine.
Yeah.
In the pit latrine, they picked up about 5 or 6 bodies that were there. Some very, incredibly, this is 1996, going into 97, and the body is almost still intact. The lady was wearing, like a headscarf, and the headscarf was still holding the hair intact. The dogs had almost been traumatized. They had eaten so many, corpses.
Yeah.
Priests would get people into church, lock them in, tell them you are safe, go and call the killers, and the killers would come and kill these people. I got married on a Saturday. On Tuesday, I was deployed. So I left a bride in the house. No honeymoon, no nothing.
Yeah.
She still asks for her honeymoon now, 28 years later. The BBC Kinyarwanda Kirundi service was created as an emergency relief communication to help refugees reconnect. The announcements that would come on radio would be Kanaka, Mukaneza, blah, blah, from this place in Gitarama. We are informing you that we are alive and we are in this place. If you are alive, thank God, we are looking for you. Loranda Igurume came back once to Rwanda. He had come to do some interviews and stuff, and I went and did some fixing for him. So I had a contact in the BBC in this name, but we were not friends. It's not like we knew each other, whatever. Once in the UK, I went and tried to look out for him, and he kept dodging me. He dodged me like 3 times. So I would get to reception, I would try to call the department, because you get to reception, then you tell them what extension they call. And each time he would just not be there.
All right, countrymen and women, yet another episode, global territorial integrity, regional ethics, and national guidance. Countrymen, the country custodian. With me here today, I am privileged to have a one of one, a veteran journalist for over 30 years, a farmer, a father, and a man of Allah. Mr. Hajji Kassim Kayira, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So there is a lot that we are going to be discussing today. There is a lot that people out there need to know, that you need to share. You've been in the media world for a very long time, reporting as a journalist, BBC, Rwanda. You've been to DRC, you've been to Sudan, you've been to Nigeria, you've been to Central African Republic. You've been to all these countries, and you've gathered an immense level of knowledge, which we are here to, try to, in Uganda we call it yaka. We need some yaka from your information. And where do you start the journalism from? How do you get into the media space? How do you start reporting? Do you start from Uganda? Do you start from Rwanda? Let's get it.
Yeah, hello, Emma. Thank you very much for having me. That's always a very difficult question, I think, where to start from, because there were lots of other things that were sort of the building blocks that led to this particular career now taking shape. I grew up in a very strong Muslim family and started really early preaching. So the preaching was public speaking, which by extension actually becomes journalism in a way, because you are communicating to the public, you are entertaining, you are educating, you are informing. So started really early, but serious and formal journalism, I think it was 1996 going into 1997. And then from there onwards, now just pushed it through and through. Once you become a journalist, you don't stop being a journalist. You can change careers, but the journalism is always in you, to the point that even today, when I think that I'm out of active journalism, I'm still doing journalism in a different way in the farming world. I just carried the journalism and customized it into the farming world.
Documenting commercial agriculture.
Yes.
So let's start from Rwanda. You get into Rwanda at a very critical moment, where there was the Rwandan genocide in the 1990s, I think around 1994. And this was, when there is a conflict, media is seen as a threat on how they report the news to the public and everything that surrounds the issues of the war. Take us into the genocide. You covered the genocide. You were there in Rwanda. How did it affect your line of work, or how did it contribute to your career as a news reporter?
The genocide in Rwanda in 1994 actually was so much. I came off the back of it.
Yeah.
So I was in Rwanda, yes, but getting into journalism was not until 2 years later. But I was in Rwanda very few days after the capture of Kigali in 1994. So came firsthand, face to face with the realities of what happened in the genocide. I had family in Rwanda. We had a house in Rwanda. Our family is really spread out there. We have quite a wide network of family. Actually, our family, I think, expands or extends into about 5 countries, and wherever we are, we are a full family. So in Uganda, we have roots adequate to make us Ugandan. In Rwanda, we have roots adequate to make us Rwandan.
Yeah.
In Kenya, we've got roots adequate to make us Kenyan.
Yeah.
In Tanzania and Zanzibar, we've got roots that actually make us very Tanzanian and very Zanzibari, just like Burundi and Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yeah.
So our families have sort of spread out, and wherever we've gone, we've become localized. We've become local content in that sense.
That explains why you can speak like about language.
Yes, partly that explains it, and moving around a lot.
Yeah.
So when I get to Rwanda immediately after the genocide, you come face to face with these realities. Endless bodies that had been, dumped, even outside our house.
Yeah.
Just at the corner of our house, I think about 4 or 5 bodies had been dumped. Not of our relatives, but people who would probably be picked up from elsewhere and then get killed.
So
there.
were these bodies of Tutsis or Hutus?
No, they were predominantly it was Tutsis. It was like there would be a few Hutus here and there, but mainly, the genocide was about exterminating Tutsis, and therefore they were the main targets.
Yeah.
For a dead body, unless you go into the analytics just to check, then you don't know, But for me, it's the human beings that were there, men, women, and so on. Then, as I started work, I worked for the United Nations, the Brown and Root Services, which was a contract company for the United Nations, and we went to work into demining. They were dealing especially with removing the landmines that had been placed at different parts of the country. I also worked in the warehouse, which was distributing staff to all the UN military departments in the different areas. So that really brought me firsthand into the realities of humanitarian action, what was going on in what sector. I was dealing with military observers who are called MILOBs in short. So those were people that were coming in. Even before I got into journalism, I was already beginning to gather a lot of information that helped inform what I became later as a journalist. Yeah. I was still at uni when Rwanda was captured. So I just went there to do half term, in holidays. That's when I got the job with the UN. So went, worked there, came back, worked again. And then when I completed uni, that's when I actually went to Rwanda now and got a chance to start working. But all of this now had built up, in the house where I went to rent, my very first house when I just started working as a journalist. The house where I used to rent it, we had a pit latrine. Yeah. In the pit latrine, they picked up about 5 or 6 bodies that were there. Some very, incredibly, this is 1996, going into 97, and the body is almost still intact. The lady was wearing, a headscarf, and the headscarf was still holding the hair intact. And this was a person in the toilets, in a pit latrine, where I would have expected probably maggots to have worked on them, on the body and so on. But bodies were being picked up. So everywhere you looked, you just saw these bodies. The dogs had almost been traumatized. They had eaten so many, corpses. Yeah. These are all graphic images that for someone to understand, it takes a lot of time. In the first days of my journalism, I started going now into churches, especially, where people had gone to seek refuge, and you find people who had been killed there. Priests would get people into church, lock them in, tell them you are safe, go and call the killers, and the killers would come and kill these people. Pregnant women whose wombs had been, cut open to remove the bodies, to kill the cockroaches, as they called them. Yeah. There were all these very traumatizing things that the genocide had a very strong impact. That for generations, especially for people who witnessed even the aftermath, if it was traumatizing for me, who just witnessed the aftermath, you can imagine to those people that actually lived through the experience. Yeah. But we had family, and when the genocide was going on, at uni, we were hearing stories. People who had gone to seek refuge at the Tanzanian embassy. Tanzanian embassy was one of the safest places where people actually fled to in Kigali. And many who had gone there were sort of safe, and they ended up being able to come out. The Ugandan embassy would almost have been really taboo, considering the fact that the invaders who had invaded Rwanda had come from Uganda. That would have been really a very dangerous place to go. But some people had actually tried to do that, to go to the Ugandan embassy, which was also very centrally located then. So all these pictures now started sort of forming up the kind of storytelling, the kind of picture that we had. It was, and then actually off the back of these very many deaths that were almost endless. I mean, for the next 5, 6, 7 years, they were still picking bodies, and each year from April to July, we would be going to attend ceremonies where they were just laying to death, to bed. The Kwibuka ceremonies, yes, when they started. We were just attending all of this for the next sort of 7 years, at least in my career as I was working there. But then came another big problem. Almost 2 million Rwandans had fled. They left Rwanda as Rwandans were coming in, especially from Uganda. Other Rwandans were fleeing the country, especially through the former Zaire, now Democratic Republic of Congo. And some had crossed into Tanzania. More ended up moving into Malawi, then into Mozambique. Some crossed and went all the way to Cameroon, to Gabon. Quite significant.
I think later you will have to connect that fleeing with M23 later.
As it comes into fruition. But then now Rwanda decides to invade Congo in 1996. They go there to bring back the Rwandans. They wanted the Rwandans. Many of them had been put in refugee camps. And in the refugee camps, they had started rearming. So the army that fled took people as sort of human shields, or rather cover, or out of fear, because if you're hearing foreigners who have been out of the country have returned to the country and they are killing everybody, people didn't have to wait to see them being killed, so they had just to contain
the insurgents.
So they ran and went into Congo, and inside the Benako, for example, camp, recruitment started, training, arming. There are allegations of foreign countries providing military support to the defeated army inside refugee camps. So this became very necessary for the government now to go there and bring these people before they would become a problem. 2 million people was quite a huge number. So I witnessed again firsthand, as this new journalist, totally new, to the field, the influx of these hundreds of thousands of refugees being returned in those green and yellow buses. The Nissan UD, I remember them very vividly, being loaded onto those buses and then being brought back into Rwanda. They come into Rwanda that looked very strange to them, despite the fact that that's where they had lived all their lives. They had very few belongings, considering this is the person
just
who had a home,
and
then just returning here. So all that now started shaping the sort of Rwanda that we are now going to live in. You also have now Rwandans who have come from Uganda, Rwandans from Congo, Rwandans from Kenya, Rwandans from Burundi, Rwandans from Tanzania. And all of this mix has a uniqueness. Rwandans, even despite being Rwandans, the fact that they've grown up in Uganda, they have a Ugandan DNA in how they behave, in how they see things. So they will act a certain way. Those from Congo, which was Zaire then, will have a certain way. Those from Burundi, a certain way. You have this interconnectedness being thrown into a melting pot that had to be the new Rwanda. Very challenging time, but also a very interesting time to be part of history being made. Looking at all of this sort of taking shape, and then being a part of that story that has become now what the country is at the moment.
By then you were heading the Rwanda television.
I just joined, so I wasn't the head yet.
Yes,
I just joined. I just joined as a reporter.
So, there was a lot that happened in Rwanda that you had to witness and all that. So, how do you get into DRC? Because later on you joined
DRC.
Congo.
That's the one I've just spoken about. When once Rwanda entered into Congo to go and bring back those,
you had to cover that.
The military ran away. The military left the camps and they ran deeper into Congo. This was very close to the borders in Goma. So the military, the former soldiers, sort of ran with a few hundred thousands of people and went deeper into Congo. So we started following up the real story. This story picks up in 1996, goes into 1997, when Mobutu now is later on removed, and then Laurent Desire Kabila is installed by both Uganda and Rwandan support that had pushed the rebels straight into Kinshasa and capturing power. So I joined, and it was actually quite interesting. I got married on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Traveled back to Rwanda, spent Sunday at my grandfather's place, drove back to Rwanda. On Tuesday, I was deployed. So I left a bride.
A new bride.
In the house, no honeymoon, no nothing.
Yeah.
She still asks for her honeymoon now, 28 years later in marriage. So we was just pulled in and went to Kindu. Yeah. And that was just very deep into Congo in Manyema, where fighting was taking place at the time.
Fast forward, there is another story of Joseph Kony and how you tried to get to him for an interview, and somehow you succeeded at some level you succeeded, at some level you didn't. I want you to tell us about the story of Joseph Kony and the war in northern Uganda and how it affected the people, because you witnessed this firsthand. And some of us, Gen Zs and all that, we didn't see what happened really, and we didn't get a chance to see the news. So how was that experience?
So Joseph Kony and his rebellion actually came off the back of the rebellion of Alice Lakwena.
Yes, I remember
Alice Lakwena, who had become, she came all the way and crossed the Karuma.
Yeah.
There were these instances where it felt like any time, she could do something, but of course it was still a bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
Came all the way up to Jinja. So once Alice Lakwena was defeated, in the ashes of the defeat of Alice Lakwena, we now get Joseph Kony coming in.
So Lakwena was before Kony?
Yes, definitely, yeah. And so when Joseph Kony comes in, of course, I've already moved from Rwanda, and I'm with the BBC.
Yeah.
And the war is ravaging. Many people are killed. We come in, we go to Gulu. When I go to Gulu now, there's something very funny about memory.
Yeah.
When you get into Gulu now and you see the sort of city that it is now, very clean, very neat, very nice tarmac.
And the people are welcoming.
Roads that are well spread out, lights up there, people just going on with life.
Yeah.
To imagine that by 2 p.m., the entire town then would just turn into a sort of
a camp,
a collection place, a collecting place of people running away from who have tried to go and do a bit of digging on their farms, and they have to run by 2 p.m. They're already in the city, sleeping on the streets, covering the entire streets. Yeah. Seeking refuge because that's where they were
running away from crimes against humanity.
The possibilities that Kony would come and invade, and the few who had been caught, people whose lips had been chopped off, people whose noses had been chopped off, people whose hands, fingers, their ears, all these images, people who had padlocks on, probably they had gone and spoken out about seeing the rebels, and as a punishment they would come back and sort of get the person padlock their mouth, their lips, so that they don't have to talk. The kind of trauma that you are looking straight into the eyes. To imagine that would go away, after some time, it was just unbelievable. Yeah. Now, my late father-in-law, my wife comes from Lira. So my late father-in-law was part of a delegation that had the current Minister of Justice, Norbert Mao, when the clergies decided to go and face Kony. So he was.
I remember Norbert Mao also met Kony.
So he was yes, he was part of my father-in-law was part of that delegation that went, and that's how I started establishing a bit of a connection.
Your Gamba Nogu.
That was my Gamba Nogu. Yeah. Getting connection now, because he was from the Langi community here, but the Acholis and Langis were all being affected in the same manner. Yeah. So I start getting connections that we started using to start connecting. Rebels will always want to talk. They will always, especially to the media, because they want to give their side of the story.
Like, for example, the rebels of M23, their spokesperson would always speak on a daily.
Almost always available. Yeah. But now as I get to the BBC, on the back of another very big crisis, the war in Liberia and Sierra Leone, the one with Sir Samuel Doe and the Kamajo militias, the killings that had taken place. So
these were revolutionaries.
These were things I used to listen on radio, but now I come face to face with some of the characters that were part of that story. So coming from that, connecting with rebels is always easy as a media organization, because they want to give their side of the story, they want to do propaganda and so on. So we had managed, through these connections that I had managed to get the Gambanogu that you mentioned, to establish a line of communication that we are now trying to speak to the rebels, to interview them. In fact, the man who ended up at The Hague, whose trial I followed all the way, what was his name, Subhan? I'm forgetting, one of the Joseph Koiny's commanders that was arrested and taken to The Hague. He joined as a young soldier. Now the name is actually going away. But I'm sure it will come as we continue with the conversation. So we had managed to establish a bit of a communication until we started now ringing. It was a satellite phone. Satellite phones are very expensive. You would end up using like $2,500 a day. Just on you use
so
it.
So the information has to be clear.
It has to be ready. You have to, like when you ring, it has to be straight on point.
Because the company is not looking to spending that money.
Spending a lot of that money for nothing. Yes. So you definitely have to have, like real good reason as to why you're doing that. So we managed to establish, and we got through to Vincent Oti through an ADC. Vincent Oti was Joseph Koiny's one of his assistants, one of his three. One of the three assistants who are like very, very powerful in there. So we get to Vincent Oti, who now arranges for us to get Joseph Koiny. And I think that, because the way they were doing since the assassination of Jonas Savimbi in Angola,
which was also through a satellite phone.
Rebels now were worried, and they were very cautious about like taking calls. So it would be a call with someone totally aware, and then they would decide what sort of time on their own timing, and then sometimes they would ask to call you instead of you calling them, because then that would sort of create a sort of a safety guard for them. So we were just about to speak to Joseph Koiny, not sure what happened. There was a change of plan. Vincent Oti comes to us, apologizes. He's on the phone. He says, I apologize. We cannot speak. We cannot get the big man himself. And so that's when now the actual fighting now picked up later on and became very tough. And Joseph Koiny ends up being pushed out of northern Uganda into South Sudan first, and then later on into the Central African Republic, parts of him. But that was quite a close call. But also just having a conversation with Vincent Oti, trying to sort of, as you're speaking to someone on the phone, you're also trying to make out what sort of person they are, their kind of character,
that emotional
kind of personality. Connection. You're on phone, but you're already sort of building a mental picture that decides and helps you probably to be able to see how to engage with them in case you got face to face.
But by now you're working with the BBC. I think we need to know, how did you get into the BBC? Were you shortlisted out of the blue? Did you apply? Did you have a Gambanogu in London? How did you get into the BBC, and what was your experience at BBC, and why after all these years you decide to finally say, I have to go back home and do farming?
I had worked with the BBC while I was in Rwanda. I would work for them as a fixer. So when they came in, because they would be looking for someone who speaks good English and therefore can sort of do translation, and then you speak Kinyarwanda. I did a bit of French then. So I could sort of maneuver around teams. And some of the very people that I worked with then became quite instrumental. Like getting to work with them later on as BBC now, not just as a fixer, was quite telling. So it was not like it was my first time with the BBC. I grew up listening to the BBC. Waking up in the morning, my dad would be on Focus on Network Africa. I don't know, he was not an English speaker per se, but he would be listening. He would be listening to Swahili first in the morning.
You can understand the news by looking at the pictures.
No, but you're on the radio.
The radio.
It was waking up early in the morning. And listening to, first of all, BBC, and then Radio Deutsche Welle, and then coming back to BBC Network Africa. We would listen to all these presenters, and you would be imagining, oh my God, that is like, a different world. I never imagined that, one time I would not only end up working at the BBC, but being able to present that beautiful, beautiful program that Focus on Africa and Network Africa.
And also a producer.
Well, I was a producer before I was a presenter. I was good to presenting, but presenting such shows, producing is very normal. That would be done, by anyone.
Yeah.
But getting behind the mic takes more than that. You need to have the confidence. You need to have the voice. You need to have the skill, because things fall, as you know, as a journalist, you're on air. Story falls and they tell you, fill that gap before you get the next story. So you have to be something. It's not just, like out of the blue.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity to I got the opportunity to get into the BBC and to, work firsthand with some of the people that I respected a lot, growing up. So what are the BBC, joining the BBC was really never my plan.
Okay.
I didn't think I had what it took. I mean, professionally, probably yes.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any gamba, no go. I didn't see any connection. Sometimes you just think, where could I start?
You had no auntie in London.
But because I used to have a guy called, he's late now, his name was Loranda Ihurume.
Yeah.
He was the head of the Great Lakes Service. So following the genocide in Rwanda, they created a special service with the BBC. And a service that was meant strictly just to help people, trace people, because many people were displaced.
Yeah.
People ended up going in different places and families could no longer reconnect.
After the genocide?
During the genocide itself, people dispersed to different places.
Yeah.
And because of all the dispersal, people lost contact with each other. There were no mobile phones.
Yeah.
Even if there was a landline, you wouldn't know where to call. You don't know where someone is to be able to call. People lost touch with the families.
Yeah.
So the BBC helped create, and these were actually some of the special things that the BBC really does, getting into conflict situations and creating special radio programs that would allow people to be able to speak to each other. So Gahuza Miryango, actually that's why it was called like that. The BBC Kinyarwanda Kirundi service was created as an emergency relief communication to help refugees reconnect.
Yeah.
It was not meant to be a fully fledged radio. It was just brought in as an emergency to say, we failed on Rwanda, what can we do to help? So helping, they say, let's put up a radio that would help people now find family.
Yeah.
And many people found each other. So the announcements that would come on radio would be, Kanaka, Mukaneza, blah, blah, from this place in Gitarama, we are informing you that we are alive and we are in this place. If you are alive, thank God, we are looking for you. Yeah. The other person now would also now send a message. Yeah. And slowly now families started reuniting. That became very, very critical. So when that urgency died down with time, then now this was converted into a fully fledged radio, because now there were serious issues to be tackled.
Yeah, even issues more than
justice.
Genocide.
Yeah, issues with justice, issues with reconstruction issues. Yeah. There were lots of things that were happening. And now it was both for Burundi and Rwanda.
Yeah.
Now that actually worked pretty well, because there were two countries that had been still both at conflict, both lost many people, both led to a lot of displacement, both needed to sort of start reconstructing, and all of this now was coming in the gist of this radio. So Loranda Ihurume came once to Rwanda. He had come to do some interviews and stuff, and I went and did some fixing for him. So I had a contact in the BBC in this name, but we were not friends. It's not like we knew each other, whatever.
Yeah.
So when I went to the BBC, once in the UK, I went and tried to look out for him. And he kept dodging me. He dodged me like 3 times. So I would get to reception. I would try to call the department, because you get to reception, then you tell them what extension they call.
Yeah.
And each time he would just not be there. Now there's this brilliant man, Ali Yusuf Mugenzi. To him, I really owe a lot of credit.
Yeah.
He's in the department. He's the deputy to Loranda Ihurume. He hears this person who keeps, has called, and he hears it's Kassim, and he just thinks, I think I know this Kassim. So he decides to come downstairs to tell me, this guy is not willing to see you. But around that time, he was already very poorly. He was ill.
Yeah.
So probably dodging to see me, didn't want me to see him in the condition that he was in.
He was in, yeah.
So he was really in advanced stages of, HIV/AIDS, and it had sort of affected him really badly. He had lived in denial and therefore didn't go to seek any treatment or whatever, and therefore he was really not in very good shape. He refused. He didn't want me to see him in that condition. Yeah. Later on, I was able to establish.
Yeah.
So Mugenzi comes downstairs to the reception to sort of tell me, the guy you are looking for won't be seeing. It looks likely that he won't be seeing you. Yeah. So I get there and we get talking. He says, I know you. I've seen you on Rwanda television. You are very good with your reporting in Congo. So he knew me and I didn't know much of him. But then we left it at that. But I told him, yes, I was looking for Loranda Ihurume while I'm doing my other stuff out there. I wouldn't want to lose my journalism. I really, really want to, sort of be able to intern, at least, intern here. I said, yeah, if something comes up, I'll let you know. I'll give you a shout. So before I knew it, he calls me, started doing 2-3 day shifts, 3 day shifts, 4 shifts, and then sadly, Loranda Ihurume passes on.
Yeah.
When Loranda Ihurume passes on, Mugenzi is confirmed now as the new head of the service. Being the new head of the service, he's the man who was giving me shifts. He's fully in charge, and there's a position that has become vacant. I was naturally in place. So,
your time had come.
So I was really taken in, and then I started presenting. But
so you did your time before getting
Mugenzi told me, no, it was a short time. It was like probably a month and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a month and a half of doing the shifts.
Yeah.
And then Loranda Ihurume passes on, and then Mugenzi now brings me in. So I came in, actually I was taken in for interview, so it was formal. It was not like the Gambanogu, but I had an opportunity. I had an advantage that I was already in place when the opportunity availed itself. Yeah, so that's how I joined. But then Mugenzi immediately tells me, Kassim, I know your potential. This service is too small for you.
Yeah.
We are going to make you, rust. With your zeal, with your courage, with your languages, it would be unfair on me to keep you in this service as much as I would want you to be here.
Yeah.
So he takes me to Focus on Africa, of all places.
Yeah.
And he walks me there. He knows, of course, he's the editor now. And so the editor of Focus on Africa, they are on talking terms. Joseph Warungu is sitting in now. Robin White has just left. So Robin White leaves, Joseph Warungu comes in as the editor, and that's the timing that also Mugenzi takes over as the editor. So he takes me to Joseph Warungu and says, hello, this guy is, your Kenyan guy is here, because I grew up in Kenya.
Yeah.
So the Kenyan in me is still like strongly there. So we speak Kiswahili, we do jokes in Kikuyu. And so he says, yeah, he would be happy to take me in as a work experience there in the department. So I go back to my Kinyarwanda Kirundi service, I present news, I do shows. 6 months in. After the 6 months, Focus on Africa takes me, and they say they are going to borrow me for a short while and I'll be back. I never went back to Kinyarwanda Kirundi. So because the moment I got there now, I was the latest recruit from the region.
Yeah, from
my knowledge of Congo, my knowledge of Rwanda, my knowledge of Burundi, my knowledge of Uganda. All of this came in handy at a time where they needed someone that was grounded, who knew people.
You're a big asset.
Because for journalism, it's about who you know. It's your contact book.
Yeah,
that's very important. Who can you give a call and they will speak?
That's
to
your
you.
net worth.
Yes, that's your net worth.
Yeah.
So that's how I joined. So I was really quickly in.
Yeah.
So they said, now we want to put your languages to the test and be sure the languages you claim to be speaking you can actually speak. So they take me to the French department. The person who was editing at that time, I think, was Arthur Malou. He's Congolese. He was sitting in editor. He was not the editor. He was the sitting in editor. Yeah. Took me, and then there was another Rwandan. Venus Tushimimana, who was already with the French service.
Yeah.
So I got there and I suddenly found myself, being able to now start connecting. So went to the French department, went to the Swahili department. That was like walking the water. I was with Kinyarwanda. Took me to the Arabic service, which was just beginning then. Was good. So I just knew now they knew they had their person. So a person who was taken there to be rented or leased for a short while.
I was on retainer.
Actually, I was now retained, until 2012. This is 2006.
Yeah.
2005. I'm taken to Focus on Africa, and then, the rest, as they say, is history until 2012. 2012, I go to Mecca for Hajj.
Yeah.
I went to the Hajj and I prayed to God. I said, God, please, show me. I'm because I've overstayed in this place. I don't want to stay in a place more than 10 years would be like the real maximum. But normally 5 years, 6 years is a good time for you to change. So I was thinking, oh God, I'm kind of in this middle of the road. Show me direction, give me something. 2012, I go to Makkah, I'm at the Kaaba, I pray to God. I leave, I go to Medina, finish, come back. As I arrive back like this, actually I hadn't even reported back to work. I received a message from Alice, is it Alice Landa? She was the boss of World Service at the time.
Yeah.
She calls me and says, Kassim, we need you. We need your help. We are launching the Swahili TV, because I've been with the Swahili service.
On the World Service.
On the World Service. So the Swahili TV was getting launched now.
Yeah.
And we think you might have a role to play. Please let me know as soon as possible if you are into it.
Yeah.
And I had not asked at all. It was like just really came out of the blue.
Yeah.
It was kind of shock. I just didn't know. I was saying, my God, I'm leaving English to go to Swahili. I was kind of, in two hearts about it. But I said, I've just prayed to God. I was in Mecca and I was praying so hard to God. I've returned. I haven't even go back to work. God has answered my prayer. Why should I doubt him? So that's how I entered into TV, BBC Swahili TV. That's where I presented until I left the BBC later on in 2015. That was quite something, and it was a real game changer. I'd been a TV presenter in Rwanda. I would present from the field, report from the field on TV on the BBC World, but had not been on screen. So this was the moment that now I get brought back to the screen where I had started my journalism career. And that was my best place. It was my playground. So that's how
that's quite an experience. Now you decide to leave the BBC and retire, go to farming and get into commercial agriculture. How was that transition? Why did you make such a decision? Because back in Uganda, every journalist is, that's like their yardstick. They're working to get into the BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN and all that. But you decide to resign and come back home and do commercial agriculture. How do you get into farming? What inspires you into farming? And why did you think that farming is the way to go?
I think I had two passions, maybe call them three, things that I wanted to pursue so much. Growing up, I wanted so much to be a lawyer or to be a journalist. Or to be a serious farmer. Farmer not in the old sense, but farmer in a very modern sense. Because I'd now gone abroad, especially looking at people and how much they could do. I call them the Holland farmer. Vertical agriculture. So grew up in Liantonde a lot. That's where I really became, an adolescent. A lot of my history is pasted and painted all over Liantonde. I was, we owned a restaurant for nearly 40 years in Liantonde. It was a well-known restaurant. Because immediately after Museveni captured power in 1986, I come back from Kenya in 1986 itself, actually. The NRA had captured government in January, January 25th, though they pushed it to the 25th.
For the celebration.
Let's call it the 20th. So Uganda, they had captured 26th January, 1986. I was here on 4th of July, 1986. So I'd left Kenya and I'd come back to Uganda. So we were fresh. We were both new into this. The government was very new. We had a particular, even ministers in the Antonde. The Antonde actually became a microcosm of a lot of activity. And I think that influenced now my world view. Not in politics. I'm not a politics person. But I follow politics.
Politics run the world.
I follow politics very diligently. I will know everything that is happening with politics, but I don't want to be a politician. It's not in me. We had a minister, Alex Ofumbi, in the Antonde. There are other ministers, and now Matthew Chikire came in to become even a representative in the area. There was Major Ketirima, who at that time, was from there. Major Wende, his sister was married to Reverend Kawera. They were in the Antonde. So the Antonde really was the center of a lot of these many army officers.
A power center.
Whenever the president came and he was going to Rwachitura, there was no adequate sleeping space in Rwachitura. So many soldiers would be in the Antonde, sort of on guard, waiting. And whenever they changed out, they would move. Our restaurants was like the water that went to Rwachitura. The tank was sleeping at our home, at the restaurant, being driven by a driver called Musisi, the water tank that went to Rwachitura, because there was no water at the time. So we were sort of in the closeness, in the close-knit. The president's mom used to patronize our restaurant She used to come for Makamo. That was her place. She would just come, sit at the shade
of
the restaurant.
Huh? You mean Esther?
Yes.
Okay.
She would come and she would be. I served her milk more than once.
Yeah.
Though it's like endless times because she loved her Makamo. She would come for Chivuguto. She would sit on the shade and just go for the bongo.
Yeah.
Machunda is different. Is different from Makamo.
Okay.
Yeah, Makamo is still fresh and heavy. Machunda is the one where they have just removed the ghee.
Okay.
Yes. So I was in the center of this. This started influencing now the way I saw up.
Yeah.
I grew up with lots of Bahima boys. One of my grandmas is also Mahima Kazi. So that had an impact in one or another. But I grew up with a lot of Bahima boys. Because in the Antonio, since it was the center now, the Burashes, the Kahunyananos, the Chinyamachundes, we were young people who were growing up together, some going to Kako, some going to Kampala. So we would meet over holidays and we would be walking. But there was something that also came out that was very interesting. Many of these Balaro boys, and we had cows at home, but we didn't have our own land. So our cows used to be at Mr. Mzee Chaka's home. There was a Mchiga man called Chaka.
Yeah.
And our cows were sent to him. There was another Munyarwanda called Ngaruchie, our cows were also in his home in Nyamponge, were there in the Antonde. So we had cows that were spread out to different people. But then one thing that was very interesting is when it came to going back to school, I was in boarding school. We'd just get a car and we go to market in Kariro, even in Yantonde. You take your car, and your cow is your school fees. No, Sanga would be a bit far. Kariro was near, and the Yantonde itself had a market. So we'd go to the market, and I would see this idea of someone coming with the cow. They've told you go and sort out your school fees. So we'd remove money for school fees, and then we'd keep the balance. Pocket money that was unbelievable for a child of that age in school. So when we came to school, but I saw many of the Bahima boys coming in with all of that. Would go with them. I first escorted them, and then one time I had to go and sell my own cow. That started really ringing a business idea, but farming in that sense, where I would not have to break too hard. You keep your cow, when you're ready, you just bring it to the market, sell it, and get hard cash. That really started translating into a lot of the theories, the ideas that I started building. But then while as a journalist, we start visiting. There's a time we flew to South Africa with President Pastor Bizimungu, who was the president before President Kagame came on. Immediately after the overthrow of the Habyarimana regime, RPF government. So the first president was Pastor Bizimungu. We flew with him. I flew on the same plane, the presidential plane, to South Africa. And during the tour, we got to visit one Dutch guy. He was called Legnat. Very big farm, and many of the ministers who had traveled with the president were sort of looking for cows to buy. This is 1997, 98, and we are already seeing that picture, and I'm thinking, oh my God, so this can be turned into this sort of big venture. This guy was like fully fledged farm. Milk was they were making ghee, they were making cakes, so they were growing the wheat. The wheat would make the flour would be mixed with the milk. They were just getting sugar from somewhere.
So it was like a complete commercial farm.
It was a complete commercial farm, so they're doing value addition there and then. So all of these things combine now to start building a picture.
Which is what we are preaching.
Which is what we
want to see ice cream in Chiruhura.
Exactly. We are able to have that ice cream in cold form as well, not just the ice cream that is hot. You want to see it, not melting, but sort of, being there. So the picture started building slowly. So like I said, I do jobs for 5-10 years maximum. I'd been at the BBC for more than 10. This was already beginning now to feel like, is there life after BBC? I was getting worried as well, looking at many people that I'd been watching as a child or listening to as a child, coming into the BBC and beginning to work with them, and they were going nowhere. And I was thinking, was this the kind of life that I wanted? It didn't make sense. Many people manage to just pay off their mortgage. By the time they've paid off their mortgage,
60,
you just
70,
come, and there's very little to enjoy. So I wanted to go into farming in a manner that I would enjoy it. There's a particular verse in the Quran which God talks about the beauty that comes into your hearts as you watch the cows going to graze in the morning, that sunrise, and then as they drive back, as they walk back in the evening, as the sun sets. That image stayed with me a lot, and I kept sort of envisaging and idealizing it until you get to a point where you can now sit, where you can actually watch the cows, watch the goats, watch the sheep.
Watch the chicken having breakfast around.
Sort of rolling around and flying around. And that to me, I think, was sort of satisfaction. And I felt like I'd come to journalism, I've done fairness to it. It's about time that I actually now sort of go into something that I would also have passion on. So unfortunately, the best friend that I had, the person who carried me from hospital the day I was born because my dad was not around and this person was a neighbor, I ended up working with him in the BBC.
Okay.
He's late now. It is safe. May God have mercy on his soul.
Okay.
In the BBC, we start sitting with him on our computers. Each time we'd get a free time, we'd start going into Sheikh YouTube, Professor YouTube, and looking for farming videos. So we'd watch farmers in Uganda. They were few and far between. Around that time, I think there was Sembeguya who had got a government contract to bring goats from South Africa. He made a lot of money. And that's where Hamisi Semanda, you know Hamisi?
I know Semanda.
Hamisi was a manager, was a farm manager. He was a vet at Sembeguya's farm. That's how I get, to sort of know him then. And so we started taking a lot of interest, keenness into this field. Yeah. We did a lot of research. We were growing tomatoes, we were growing cabbages in our heads, I mean. Yeah. We grew a lot of tomatoes, we grew a lot of cabbages. Yeah. And meanwhile building up ourselves, and we said we're leaving. So when I said to the BBC, I'm quitting, I'm leaving, nobody believed it because they was thinking, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What are we going to, and everyone would asking, what are you going to do? And I said I was going to farm, and it just didn't make sense. Yeah. Of course, Azam came in as a transition good enough, helped me with a soft landing back into Uganda. Yeah. And then I came and I started buying land, started buying bits and bits of land.
Yeah. I understand you have like over 200 acres.
you want to get thieves to come for me. Yes, so we started buying land, and then that's when we started launching slowly. Yeah. 2016, I started into goat and rabbit farming, but I was already thinking ahead. I was just thinking, I'm not coming into this. I should not be doing this the way our grandparents did. Yeah. It has to be different.
The traditional way.
So I came in and I was already thinking value addition. So as I started rabbits, I was already doing parties. People were inviting me. They would Facebook was a thing then. Yeah. So people would just send me messages. We have a birthday party, and then
we need rabbit meat.
Do you think you can do us rabbit? I managed to find a very brilliant roaster guy who does the roasting. I know roasting, but the guy was doing a lot of the mixing of the seasoning and so on.
Seasoning.
It was really, really good. So teamed up with that guy, and we started doing, so I would sell like 15, 30 rabbits at a go. Okay. And then I would sort of start rearing again. I got to a point where I didn't have enough rabbits.
But you still have the rabbits now?
Oh yeah, they're still there, but we are upgrading now. Okay. And it would take a lot for you to convince me to sell you a rabbit. Yeah. Because we are doing value addition. For me, that's why I was coming in, I was thinking I'm doing value addition. Yeah. Because if you are just buying a rabbit and you're buying it at 40, 50,000, if I can do the meat and add value to it, and I sell it to you at 80,000,
or 100,
definitely, or 100,000, that is definitely something. Yeah. So if you're doing burgers, if you're doing, rabbit samosas, rabbit spring rolls, and that has actually been a very good transition for many people who have not done farm or who have not eaten rabbit meat before. There are many people, especially coming from the West. Yeah. You don't imagine yourself eating a rabbit. Many think like that. Yeah. But I've ended up, you just come, someone grabs a samosa, eats the samosa, beautiful. One samosa to nyonjera kakabiri. Yeah. Once they eat 3, bitakanyama kakanora twaliyaka metra hanga wanje nayata. But by the time you kwata, you've enjoyed. Yeah. So many people have ended up, like eating rabbit meat and then realizing suddenly it's the best white meat there is out there. Yeah.
Just like people don't like potatoes, but they like fries. So they end up.
You might as well find a different way of being able to eat it. Yeah, so I was already thinking. And so through evolution, it's been really hard work. Finding workers, that has really been the biggest pain. Yeah. Then going into seasons when you have to rely on rain. Yeah. Getting problems with suppliers. Tractors, you pay for a tractor. Yeah. You pay for a tractor to come and dig, and then they don't turn up. They can't pay back your money. They've taken your money. They've not turned up. That season really ekushara. Yeah. So you end up really living. There are those very huge challenges in agriculture. But the interesting thing is with agribusiness is every little step is a step away from where you are to where you want to be. Yeah. And that in itself really, really is powerful.
And how should the government come in to support farmers? Because they are the people that run the economy. They are the people that run the food industry.
Yeah.
How is this a private thing that the government can't get involved in, or is there a way that the government can chip in to make sure that the production is at a mass stage?
We are a poor country, embarking on a journey to try to become rich. But there are priority areas that the government can actually take on.
Yeah.
For instance, right now, many farmers have tried to dig wells.
Yeah.
People dig wells, but then you find the cost of petrol to run a water pump, to pump water and irrigate your lands is going to be problematic. It's
Even solar energy
costly.
is expensive.
No, that's where I was coming.
Yeah.
That's where I was going. So because the petrol is expensive, solar energy now becomes the most reliable because we have got the sunshine nearly 365 days a year. Government could actually provide a subsidy in these in the solar energy.
Okay.
One, to help power up rural communities where it will be difficult to go and do all the wiring with the UADCL.
Yeah.
Leave you this UDCL for
Kampala,
factories, for factories even.
Yeah.
Because now if homes are lit by solar, that avails much more power now for industrial usage, and therefore there is no interruption.
Yeah.
We can invest hugely. There are countries like India.
Yeah.
I've seen in places like
China,
like Gujarat, in Uttar Pradesh. You look at these areas where they've taken it upon themselves. They've gone in Kerala, they've gone in heavily and invested in solar power.
Yeah.
And you see the difference that makes. So the government could provide a subsidy, lower taxes on solar panels.
And solar imports and all
so that now would actually propel or probably encourage companies that do solar to come and produce them from here. Like we get now several, Chinese companies, Indian companies.
Like we've done gold refinery here. And
we just try and sort of get that done here. So that would bring the cost down. The taxes go low. That would be a subsidy, because in Europe, farmers survive on subsidies. The farmer knows even if they don't sell their milk, they are not totally at a loss.
Even
the government will.
Massey Ferguson and all these tractors, they have subsidies. When they're importing those machinery into the country, the government chips in some subsidies and all that.
Not the Uganda government wouldn't be subsidizing, like a foreign company to sort of import. But what they do is they might give them a window of opportunity, especially if they decide to assemble their tractors, say from here. So if they decide to assemble the tractors, they bring the parts. The parts now can receive a reduction on taxes, and then they allow them.
Or like a tax holiday, like 6 months for farmers.
They might do. Yeah, but farming is not really taxed as much as you would imagine. But I think there are some direct involvement. And the government tried. There was this UGIF where they were looking for farmers who have like 5-10 acres of land. If you have an existing well, and then they would give you a solar water pump. So you would pay government would pay 75% of the cost, and you pay 25%, which is significantly low. That would come in now and begin to push farmers. Unfortunately, for many government programs, people come in and they keep it under their wraps. The people the actual beneficiaries that would have benefited from this don't end up benefiting. The people who would actually propel, who would bring in the difference. You find the people that actually end up giving themselves these things probably don't need them or don't know how to use them. So at the end of the day, they have them, but they can't.
Can even afford alternatives.
Exactly, and therefore it actually doesn't give it value for them to have it. But then the greed is such that they end up having that. If the right people ended up with the right equipment, with the right tools, government is doing a lot out there. I can tell you, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I don't want to sound like I'm pro-government or whatever, but I'm not even meant to be anti-government. But there are lots of things that are done, but it's just that they are sort of done a lot of times in half-baked ways, inadequate ways that don't give the actual result that is desired.
Non-patriotic.
So there should be a way around that, where intervention can come in, and then and government can have like pilot districts. You don't have to roll out something everywhere. Roll out something in some areas, see how it performs, and then start expanding it. And get real results from people who are able to deliver. I think that would come in quite handy.
And that takes me to another issue another problem that is eating up this country is gatekeeping. People keep opportunities the government comes in with some programs, and then some people gatekeep, and then there is also another issue of gatekeeping in the markets. Some people are gatekeeping markets, like in the export, import, and all that. How have you navigated all this unprofessionalism? People trying to, get money from you before they give you an opportunity to sell here or there. Is it about does Uganda have a poor product? Do we have good products but without the market? Or is someone trying to become a blockage between Uganda's products and the markets?
My approach when I came into this was to try to look for opportunities instead of struggles, instead of obstacles.
Yeah.
Wherever there's an obstacle, I try to see what would be the alternative.
Yeah.
And this has helped really to reduce on my level of frustration with some of the things that probably don't move as quickly as they should or as rightly as they should.
Yeah.
So I've kept my head quite up. It helps to be known, so that helps a bit. You can't take that away, because now, especially when I went into farming, I came in with different technologies.
Yeah.
I was thinking, how do I apply my journalism to the new field that I've come in? I went into content creation.
Yeah.
You see
like
a lot of my content,
now.
sort of people sort of relate. Yeah. People relate with the content, and, and you'll find that actually, if I have 60,000 followers as we speak now, these are actually 60,000 actual followers. Yes. I'm just giving as an example. It's about 60. And I'm saying now, these are actual 60,000 actual followers. It's not made up numbers or anybody. It's people who are actually, liking farming, who are coming here because they're seeing, am I saying something that can relate with what they are doing? Are they coming to buy a product that I'm probably talking about? These are actual people that are involved or want to be involved in the field. And that for me is actually very serious satisfaction.
Fantastic.
That comes in quite handy.
Fantastic. Now, I understand you're married.
Yes, I'm very married.
For so how many years?
Nearly 29 now.
Now, 29 years in marriage. One marriage advice in one sentence.
Be patient.
Be patient.
Yeah.
Be patient.
With each other.
With each other.
Yes, because there are lots of things that we get wrong. There are lots of things that they get wrong. But if you're patient, you outlive whatever problem there is. Patience pays. The moment you stick in there are lots of times when you probably would have thought, I could have given up, but then you realize actually that decision not to give up was the best decision, because then it allowed you to thrive in a relationship. It's patience. It's patience. It's patience. It's patience, patience, patience. 3 times, yes. Patience.
And forgiveness.
Well, forgiving is patience.
I think patience is a broad word.
Patience is really like the big word that would encompass all of whatever you bring. Controlling your anger, that is patience. Everywhere you take it, it comes back to patience.
That's true. Advice to your younger self. If you met a 20-year-old Kassim, what would you tell him?
Don't wait. Do the now. Do the now. Tomorrow will find you. But
actually,
do the now.
Today is the future we've been talking about.
Yes, today is the future. Yes, today is the future, because that's where you are living now. And it was yesterday. Which is today. Yes.
We have over 70% of Ugandans who are youth. So we cannot leave this show without a message to the youth. What's your message to the young people of this country? Because this country has to be moved on to the younger generation, but are they ready? And what's that one message that you can give to the young people of this country?
With the 70%, to expect me to just give one message, I think would be very unfair. But I would say to the young people, keep your dreams alive. Live your dreams. Work hard. Be consistent. Start early. Because a lot of times there are things you look back and you wish you had done like 10 years ago. There are people, if it is like planting trees, just plant it and let it be there.
Grow,
10 years, if you change your mind, you'll cut it, you'll get money, and you'll do something with the land that you have. But also importantly, land is going to be one of the biggest weapons of the future. Because land is going to be like big deal. Whatever you do as a young person, get land.
Yeah.
If you can get yourself land, grab it, stick to it. But don't be attached
to the land.
When you become too attached, it might be that's how people end up dying so poor.
Yeah.
Once the person dies, the people who have come to inherit sell the land, and all of a sudden they are millionaires, and the person who has died had nothing.
Yeah.
So do not have that attachment to things.
Yeah.
Be ready, be willing to let go.
Yeah.
When things, like if you need to do something, sell that, buy something better, improve your life.
You don't have to be emotionally attached.
Yeah, don't be emotionally attached to things.
Yeah.
Things are made, things are lost, things are earned. You can make them. So do not have that strong attachment that says, I can't let this go.
Yeah.
Be willing. If opportunity comes, take it. If opportunity comes, grab it.
Yeah.
Like especially with opportunity, don't joke. When it comes your way, grab it. Use it, and then, the rest, trust God. Put your trust in God. But then do not rush for the young people as well. There are times when you want to become so rich. Yeah. Someone sees you have earned a little bit of money. I've been working for 40 years now, 30 years. You want to come and be like me in a
instant
day.
gratification.
So there might be those issues. Yeah. Take it slow. Take it at your own pace. Yeah. But it may be that times have also changed. If a TikToker will earn 10 million when an office person will have to wait several months before they can earn that, then you understand. So times might have changed, but whatever it is, just take it slow, take it at pace.
And being a father, is there a trick to parenting? Do you think there is a hidden trick in parenting, or we are just missing out on basic knowledge about parenting? Why are the kids failing parents and parents failing kids? Don't
miss your children's childhood. Childhood is a big, big missed opportunity. Many of us do not get a chance to grow up around our parents because they are out there struggling to make a living, to put food on the table. But by putting food on the table, we are also growing up. Yeah. By the time they come, we have not had conversations.
Lost connection.
It becomes difficult to have conversations. There are so many people who wish they had had time to sit with their fathers and had a conversation.
Yeah.
My father was one of those people that would be away a lot of times, working away and so on. But I was also lucky that my father was a chatty person. So before he died, it looked like it was just an opportunity for me. We sat and I recorded an interview with him over 2 days. We were just standing up just to go and pray and eat lunch and then come back and interview.
So it was like a mini documentary.
My dad was just excited, like his son is a journalist. Because every time he would travel from Uganda to Rwanda, everybody would say, this is Kayira, because I was a big celebrity on TV. Yeah. So to hear that this is your father, for him, that was like bliss. Yeah. So when I told him I wanted to interview him, it was like unusual.
Yeah.
But it is amazing how much we do not know about what parents go through.
Yeah.
The difference I've made with my children is I've had a lot of times when we sit down and I just tell them about me, about my life, about my journeys. That makes a huge difference in terms of their perception of you, their appreciation of you. I left and I said I was going to Uganda, now I'm going to start farming. I couldn't just lift the whole family just like that.
Yeah.
But suddenly they start appreciating the moment they start seeing your struggles, and you come, you talk through them. They know where the struggles are. They know where the good bits are.
Yeah.
It is important to talk to your children when they're still young. Because when they grow up, they have different lifestyles, they have different worries. You are probably no longer a priority.
Yeah.
Your children will understand and appreciate you a lot more if you had this kind of closeness. You do not have to be rich.
Yeah.
Even in poverty, you can sit.
Yeah.
The best of people are the people, the prophets who sat with their children and advised them and had conversations with them. This is very important. Yeah. Let us not miss out on our children's childhood. We grow up so fast.
That's very important.
Before you know it, the child is gone. Once the child gets to secondary, they're already in TikTok. It's a different world. They're no longer part of the story. Yeah. Make sure you tap them when they are still here, because that's your moment. That's when you're dad. That's when you're mom.
Yeah.
The moment you go beyond there, you're playing catch up, which is not easy.
Well, there's a lot to share with Hajji Kassim Kayira, but we cannot exhaust everything in only one episode. So you will catch us in the next episode, and he will give us some parting shots as we leave this episode.
Life is a journey, and as we live through it, everyone will have their own path. We all end up in the same destination. We all start from the same departure point. But in between, there are lots of other things, intertwining things that make life what it becomes.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, make sure your final destination leaves you a human, that you do not have to regret the things that you did in between since departure to the point of arrival. Life is only lived once. Every day we live once. Every day that you have lived is a day you have lived.
Yeah.
Actually, I think someone put it better. We live every day, but we die once.
Yeah.
So make that matter, that by the time that time comes, you know you have done your bit. We all have a role to play. Have you played yours?
Yeah. We've been alive for a very short time, and we shall be dead for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Countrymen and women, global territorial integrity, regional ethics, and national guidance. The Country Custodian.